This is Katie. She's currently on a spending ban after wasting all her money on trinkets.
How dare you? They aren't a waste.
My apologies. Of course, she definitely, without a doubt, needed every single one of these to perfectly clutter her home. Well, I suppose the real question is, how will she get her dopamine hit now?
I have an idea. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. I feel like a big topic of conversation recently has been about if trinket collecting has gone too far, and I'm not really here to weigh in on that because honestly, I'm just happy to see people enjoying themselves. And me too, I have always loved to indulge in some cute little bits and bobs. I still have items that used to adorn my childhood bedroom, but undeniably this has had a fully fledged takeover on social media over the last year or so, whether it is perfectly curated purse pals or the plethora of unboxing videos with people praying they get the one they want. Personally, I've had to take a step back ever since I went a little bit too crazy in Japan, but I am kind of grateful for it because it helped me realize that I actually prefer to buy my trinkets secondhand as well. I don't know, for me, the feeling you get after rummaging through and finding the perfect item for you is so much better than just gambling over and over again.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
Unfortunately, we just don't have access to the same sort of secondhand market here. You can't drop me off for 3 hours at a book off to keep me happy, although I don't mind being left to scroll Macari Japan in peace either. I'm not gonna lie though, specifically in just the last 2 months, I feel like it's really turned into micro trend territory where people are seemingly just buying them for the sake of making content. So I just thought we could switch things up a little bit and instead of feeling the need to purchase a new item, actually just take inspiration from them instead. Now, I don't know if you could notice back there because my mic's kind of in the way, but yes, I'm a monchhichi girly. I just had to start us off here because without question, this is always going to be the cutest option, especially if I'm looking for a purse pal. I don't know how he does it, but this little guy manages to match nearly every one of my outfits. And if he doesn't, then I call in the help of his friend because yes, monchhichi comes in practically every color at this point. But personally, I really don't think you can beat the classic, which is exactly why I chose to stick to the brown, red, and white color palette today. In hindsight, I'm wondering, girl, why didn't you wear some sort of fur jacket instead? But I do really love the shape on this one that I opted for. I also really like the ruffle detail down the front of the blouse, which almost feels reminiscent of the bib in a way. Obviously, these aren't going to be exact recreations. I didn't want them to feel costumey at all. We have to suspend disbelief a little bit here, use our imagination. If this character was to come to life, stuck in my wardrobe, what would they come out wearing? For monchhichi, I really felt like the concept needed the perfect balance of both trendy and timeless, which I think we have done successfully. Just taking a little step outside this fantasy land that we're creating today because in all realness, we need to make sure we're keeping ourselves safe and secure online, which is exactly what I've been doing for years at this point with today's video sponsor, award-winning VPN Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network available to download now as an app or browser extension. Whether you're at home or out and about using public Wi-Fi, you really don't know what's lurking in the background. But with Surfshark, your personal data becomes encrypted, anonymous, and secure in their private VPN tunnel, which prevents scammers from accessing sensitive information and companies and bots from tracking your every move. And of course, with a couple of quick and easy clicks, you can also unlock content from around the world that isn't usually available in your region. And all of this applies to unlimited devices under just one account, so you'll always feel safe. And since Surfshark offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, you can try it all risk-free today and even score yourself a deal if you head on over to surfshark.com/spotlight or use code SPOTLIGHT at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. As always, there's the link and QR code on screen, or for more information, you can check out down below in the description box. Now, I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, but just in case, I'll hold your hand while I say it. You're never gonna catch me with a labubu. I'm not even someone who's gonna say that they're straight up ugly because I can totally see the charm in them. Where I'm just a little bit confused is the insane hype surrounding them when there's so many other cute options that you could grab at popmart and not have to wait in line for 3 hours. Oh, actually, I might need to retract that because the collection itself, like the monsters, if their collaboration with One Piece is released in Australia, I might have to lift the spending ban, but only getting 2 tops. But when I say labubus, I'm talking about like the plushy keychain version. And I actually think that is why they're so popular, since it's an item that you can wear. Like, people just want other people to know that they also have a labubu. If I had to pick though, my preference would be the pastels, which is why I knew this fuzzy sweater would be perfect. You can actually wear it in a few different ways. I think its intention is off the shoulder, but it's also like a chunky cowl neck, or in this situation, I tried to pull it up as a hood just to cover myself in more of the fuzzy fabric. Since this is almost becoming the face of like micro trend final boss, I felt like we needed an equivalent in the outfit, hence the bubble hem, which by the way, I'm still loving and regularly styling my bubble skirt. So I really do feel like they throw out that terminology too often nowadays, but you get the idea. I paired it over the top of these really comfy yoga pants, which typically I just wear around the house, but I don't know, I felt like they really worked in with the color story we had going on and also added texture. I was kind of skeptical at first, but low-key, I feel like this really pulled through. Like, this is labubu come to life. You can't tell me otherwise. I did, however, still want to take a moment for my personal favorite character and actually first ever introduction into popmart, which is hirono. And I do feel like their outfits would actually translate really easily into a fashionable wardrobe. Not so much aligning with my personal style, but I knew I was going to want to stick to a more muted color palette this time around. And although often there's not a lot of room for patterns in the designs, stripes does seem to be somewhat of a staple. I wanted to match with my little buddy, so of course there was no other option than to pull out the teddy bear bonnet. And yes, I have already worn something very similar in the past, but on this channel, we are not afraid to outfit repeat, especially when we're on a spending ban. I feel like a lot of trinket girlies who started young did so via their obsession with Sanrio, so it's only fitting to include them today, but in all honesty, they probably deserve their own separate video. I mean, there are so many options to choose from just under that umbrella, which I feel like we're always reminded of this time of year when it's like the annual popularity contest. So do let me know if there's some specific characters you want to see me feature, but today I'm going with, I think they typically sit third or fourth overall, kuromi. I really wanted to opt for her because I feel like she has a slightly darker color palette than what we typically see of these sort of characters. I 100% believe that both her and my Melody would partake in Lolita fashion if given the opportunity. Yes, that might just be because they've literally done gothic Lolita collections before, but it just makes sense. It's a style that I love and admire, but haven't committed to in my own wardrobe, so we couldn't really take it in that direction, but I did give a subtle nod with the choice of headband. What really caught me off guard was just how many different shades of purple I apparently have. I think for the most part it blends together okay. It's just the collared shirt, I wish it wasn't quite as vibrant as it is, but I think that having that pattern tie really did help break it all up. But actually now that I'm looking at it again, just keeping that base dress a plain black, I feel like really helps us keep the concept. Overall, definitely very kuromi coded, and I think that if you had a friend who had it in inverse colors, styling it with white and like a baby pink, immediately people would recognize what you're channeling. While we're on the topic of Sanrio, if you are specifically a charmy kitty stan and you aren't already obsessed with Miko illustrations, what are you doing? Get on that immediately. There's just this vintage glamour essence about it. I don't really know how to explain it other than it seems like their favorite movies would consist of The Virgin Suicides and Valley of the Dolls. Baby girl Souffle has been rocking the it color of the season, this creamy butter yellow, which definitely inspired my choice of vintage nightgown. This is so beautiful, something I've had in my collection for quite a while, but don't really get around to styling very often. I think the main issue, like anything that I have ever had difficulty styling, is not knowing what shoe to team it with. Originally, I was still trying to make it work with a daintier pair, but ended up switching out to these brown boots, which honestly at the moment I am throwing on with anything, and I think that it pretty much always works. I guess in the end it kind of looks like it could be an option for Sabrina Carpenter's short and sweet tour, which I am not at all mad at. Miffy I feel like is in a league of her own. Like, she is far above this micro trend talk at the moment because she has been holding it down for the more minimalistic queens who still enjoy something cutesy. I was originally trying to make this dress work because it is quite shapeless, very reminiscent of hers, but there was a little bit of a disconnect. I felt like I was also kind of doing a Kiki's Delivery Service cosplay, so I tried to play around with a way that would make it feel more me, which of course meant throwing on a pair of jeans underneath. Still in this kind of navy shade range so it wouldn't be too distracting and we could really just have those pops of reds come through in the accessories. But in the end, I think it's actually the lace headscarf that really makes it. It adds interest, but it feels like a trend that's very demure, which I think is very much Miffy approved. We've made it to my other more controversial opinion, and that is regarding Sony Angels, because I know they are like an OG of popular TikTok unboxing, but I've never really had the desire to do so, and I think it's just because they're naked. Like, Where are their clothes? The only merch item that I have for them is this phone case, which, yes, only has their head in it. I just feel like if they had cute little outfits, I would be eating this up without a doubt. And as much as I said I love a funky little hat moment, I am gonna need something else. A little bit more, which I guess is the very reason that I struggled to come up with a fit. Obviously, there's a heavy emphasis on themes for each collection. And personally, I am a sucker whenever a character has a fruit theme to it. So I really wanted to incorporate that through the hat selection. Actually, quite shockingly, I didn't want to make it too matchy-matchy and opt for a fruit print top as well. Instead, I went for overalls. I feel like they have a youthful, cute charm about them and is something that I see people often DIY for their Sony Angels. But then I actually tried something a little bit different with the layering process, still just wearing a t-shirt underneath, but then styling the cami top over the overalls. I don't know, how are we feeling? I just didn't want these little sleeves to be covered up. They're very dainty and almost give an angel wing-like effect, which obviously is very fitting. I tried to bring the red back in through the bag and then kind of panicked and just threw on these cowboy boots. I'm still not sold on it. I don't know, do I need to do an apology to the Sony Angel community? Because I do feel like it's the worst outfit of the bunch. Please forgive me, I did try. Moving on to another Angel, Angel Blue, an absolute staple along with other classics like Daisy Lovers, Mezzo Piano. If you're into 2000s Japanese character goods, then this is no surprise. These are also a little bit different to some of the others because they actually have their own clothing lines to take inspiration from as well. So I just wanted to feel like I was in an Angel Blue ad from the late 90s, early 2000s with this look. And of course it doesn't hurt that the zip up hoodie I'm wearing is in fact from their brand. So that definitely directed where the rest of the outfit would go, sticking to that same adorable color contrast of pink and blue. It was really starting to feel like a lot, which of course was partly intentional, but the plaid skirt with the knee-high striped socks, there was a lot going on, but I feel like somehow adding this denim apron really helped ground the look. And the true test is, does it look good while posing with the Angel Blue clock? Which I think it does. Which, by the way, if I had to pick, this is probably my all-time favorite trinket purchase ever. But since I can't really just walk around holding an alarm clock all day, I decided I needed to really trinketify my handbag instead. Another Japanese icon that I found some really good deals on secondhand are Pinky Street figures. If you're into the Peach Riot series from Popmart and also like early 2000s Japanese fashion, then you will love these. There are so many options out there to get inspo from, but there's definitely a couple of signature looks that they keep going back to. Skirt over pants is one of them, but we've already featured that today. So I thought instead I'd go for this more uniform inspired look with a vest and some slouchy leg warmers. I did try to make it a little bit more casual by going for this like sweatshirt vest rather than your traditional knitted sweater vest. I don't know if it really ended up making that much of a difference though. This definitely felt like the right opportunity to go real matchy-matchy. So we've got the gray leg warmers, and then even with the accessories, trying to get the stripes in there. The plaid skirt acts as our one pop of color. Originally, I wanted to go for pink to match with a couple of the figures that I have, but unfortunately that skirt doesn't fit me anymore. And I think this one still looks really cute. And actually, I should have mentioned this earlier, but if you're someone who is also on a spending ban from trinkets, then I would definitely recommend looking into some like coffee table book situations. That way you get to admire all the beautiful trinkets, but you're not actually cluttering up your home with them. And please let me know if you do have any good recommendations, because this is an area where I am looking to grow my collection. Now, I know there are a lot of different characters to choose from. I could probably do several parts to this series, but you didn't really think I was going to go this entire video without mentioning Sylvanian Families, did you? Me? The person who had Sylvanian family blind bags as their wedding guest favors. Yeah, if I'm being perfectly honest, they're actually excluded from the spending ban because I have definitely purchased some this year. My apologies, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and this is definitely my little treat of choice. Also, from a budget perspective, a blind bag for these are significantly cheaper from a blind box of like anything else. I feel like the obvious option here is to go for the icon that is Freya, but since I already wore that red polka dot blouse in the monchhichi look, instead we're turning to the Flora Rabbits, perfect for that spring garden vibe. But really just anything in gingham I think leans into what I imagine the Sylvanian aesthetic to be. This is such a cute, easy look for the warmer weather. The gingham is actually supposed to be a dress. I know, shocking, because it is incredibly short. So I layered another dress underneath, and instead of wearing the straps as its intended halter, I just tied tied a little bow in the front. Again, you just gotta add to the cutesy vibes. Come on, it's Sylvanian Families. Somehow it was even more difficult than usual to not just add a hat to every single look. I guess a lot of the characters have like an ears situation, but this one was just too perfect not to include. I don't know if it's just me, but I really associate Smisky as being one of the OG content creation unboxings. Like for some reason, it just reminds me of the times where everyone had the fake vines in their room. I kind of miss that era. Them and Sony Angels are like this, but I feel like the community is just so chill. So I really wanted to have that come through in the outfit. Obviously, we wanted to keep it green.
Mama, if it ain't green, I'm not interested.
But surprisingly enough, I did not want to wear a lycra all-in-one green suit. Instead, I kind of wanted to take inspiration from the fact that often they're pictured with some sort of plant in the background. So I don't know. I kind of wanted it to give just green thumb. Definitely more on the casual side with just the oversized hoodie, but honestly, still something I'd happily wear. And whether you're on a spending ban or not, I know you have something on your trinket wish list, so let me know what it is. For me, it has to be one of the like big size Sylvanian Families that they have in displays at stores. Actually, I have no idea how you even get your hands on one of those, but I need to manifest it. And obviously there's still so many characters that I haven't covered. So let me know who you want to see me include in a part 2. And don't forget to check out today's video sponsor, Surfshark. You can head to surfshark.com/spotlight or use code spotlight at checkout for 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I see you again really, really soon. Bye.